Okay, yesterday I posed the question about whether there was a preferable time slot, if 3 o'clock was a good time slot, or whether there was a better time slot. And the only real answer that I've had has been be consistent. So, all right, Stellar, I will be consistent. And so here we are. And speaking of consistency, we're drawing unicorns because that's what we're doing this month. If you don't like unicorns, you're in the wrong place. And who doesn't like unicorns? Actually, I know a guy in the sci-fi crowd uh, at the convention. Just can't stand unicorns. He just hates them, and just finds them nauseating, and which the rest of us found funny. Make that a little bit bigger. I've got two figures standing next to each other, and collectively they form one big shape. So my first thing was to just draw this big lump here, and then try to subdivide the two uh, parts of it. So one of them's a little kid in a long dress. The long hair. Like that. And the other one, of course, is a unicorn. Yeah, sometimes you're blocking things in and it doesn't work. Then you gotta stand back and go, wait a second, what did I just do wrong? I just did something wrong. Something that's almost difficult to believe is how big a horse's head is. It's really big. It's like as tall as your whole body and head together. And even though this isn't a very big horse in this picture, it's bigger than that girl. Okay. This photo is probably more like a pony than a full-size horse, so he's a ponycorn or something. Hi, Russ. It's good to have you back. I'd like to say I've been busy. I have been kind of busy, but I've been here. A friend of mine sent me a link to. They don't just tell it. I'm not the most important thing on Facebook. Sharon says Facebook has been random about alerting her that I'm on. And Stiller says, I noticed a delay. That's why I share the video on my timeline. Well, I appreciate it because it it's supposed to be all about me. Anyways, um, my friend shared a link on how to copy your Facebook Live videos and download them onto your computer along with all the comments and replies so that you can share them like on YouTube or something like that, just as it appears. And I really, really appreciate his help on that. It was something I really wanted to do because I wanted to share them to my Patreon account. I feel bad about my Patreon account because all my best content is on my Facebook. Um, but I've got like 10 patrons on my Patreon account, and probably none of them are going to ever watch me live, whereas I've got 900 and some people on my Facebook. And so, you know, the odds of actually having an audience are a whole lot better over here. But I do want to be able to share this stuff uh, to my Patreon account, and so I really appreciate that he helped me out and sent me that link. Sadly, it didn't work at all. Um, I don't know why. It simply did not work. There were the steps, and you follow the steps, and then you just got an error message. And, yeah, it just didn't work. So I looked it up yesterday on the Google and found another website that has sort of an app, and you can download the video, but it doesn't download with the comments. So I started doing that and realized, gosh, I've done a whole bunch of videos. So it was really taking me a while. But I realized if it's going to do that without the comments visible, I have to make it clearer what I'm responding to when I turn around and respond to a comment, because for future reference, people are going to be watching this video without the comments available. And so Sharon says, Unipony, unit. I can't even say that. Unit. Okay. um, so that's where that is. I've got a whole bunch of videos downloaded, but well, actually, I got to like 18 of them before I just got tired, and realized I've been doing this for a couple months now, and I've been doing it almost every day. That's going to be a bunch. So uh, I need to start transferring them over to another website so I can throw them away again and not have my whole hard drive filled with videos. It's an amazing thing that Facebook does, hosting all this stuff and leaving it, you know, on a server forever, uh, at least so far as we can tell. And I mean, that's huge. I remember when I used to be on these, like a message board. It was a sign painter message board, and you could share pictures of your work, but it had to be on your own website and you use this UBB code thing where you had to make little brackets, image brackets on either side of, and then you put the web address where your picture is hosted, and so you could share things online with people. But like the little freebie website that I owned would let me have like 15 pictures on the thing, and then like by the time I had shared 15 things, if I wanted to share something else, I had to start deleting things from my site so that I could put a new thing on. And it was a pain, but that's what everybody went through to share their stuff, and that's just how it was. And so suddenly having sites that are just like unlimited free uploads of all your stuff, doesn't matter what it is, nobody's going to vet it, nobody's going to care, just load all your things onto this website and we'll host it. My God, that's enormous. We've forgotten now because it's gotten so commonplace, but that is huge. That is really really huge. That has happened. Kind of sounds like one of those grandpa stories, like back in my day, we used UVB codes, and you could only have 15 pictures on your website. Yeah, grandpa, whatever. Okay, boomer. But it was true, so I am grateful. People have a lot of nasty things to say about Facebook sometimes, and I don't know, some of it may be justified, but jeepers, we're all using it, and we're using it a lot, and we're getting a lot out of it. I know gratitude isn't the correct way to behave around here. I'll knock it off. Is that showing at all? my drawings can go pretty murky uh, in the middle. Um, there's a saying that every painting goes through an ugly phase. You know, you get to a point in the middle where at the beginning it looked like you really knew what you were doing, and then you get to this point where people go, I don't think he does know what he's doing, and we're kind of at that phase right now where people are going, what is he doing? You just got to stick it out. This is actually the point where a lot of artists go, oh, this isn't working, and they throw their pencils down and walk away when it was actually working. You know, you just got to have the fortitude to stick it out. Okay, the one thing I don't like about it so far, and you've seen me fussing with it, is that it's supposed to be a little kid, and something I just did made her face look like a grown up. I'm hoping I can fix that. She's supposed to be young. The facial features a little too sharp. Yeah, I was just going with that. I think I've gotten it a little gooder, uh, but I'll work on that. Probably that eyebrow. Not that a kid can't scowl, but it's not classically considered a childlike expression. That helps. That helped a wee bit. In this photo, they're actually very small on a large landscape, so let's see how well I can zoom in. It would help me a lot. Sort of. I can zoom in, but now it's a grainy picture. Nevertheless, this helps. He's got bangs. I didn't even realize that before. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. He's got a thing. He's got a thing. It's a fat little pony, is what he is. Maybe he's pregnant. Scroll it down here. We rewatched Good Omens uh, last couple of nights, and thoroughly, thoroughly love that set of that little mini series. It's been my favorite book for ages, and it's now my favorite TV miniseries. Possibly, possibly I'll call it my favorite film. I'm not sure, but certainly my favorite TV show ever made. But close to the beginning, you see the scene where they medieval village goes and gets Agnes the witch, and they just can't take it anymore. You know, they're infuriated by all these years of her healing the sick and making their crops come out well, and purifying the water and all that kind of stuff. And so um, they've got to have their revenge, and so they burned her at the stake, and kind of reminded me of my news feed lately, and all the people who just sick and tired of these cops that are always treating us decent and being fair and being nice. And you know, I know perfectly well that somebody killed somebody and there's no excuse for that, but that has been the experience of an extremely small group of people. No excuse for it when it happens, but to be morally outraged and be throwing rocks at police officers thousands of miles away does not make any sense to me. I think it's largely just vicious people being vicious at this point. But enough of that. So I anticipated doing what attracted me to this picture, which I'm not entirely copying or imitating here, but what attracted me was the lighting, which is all coming down this corridor in the trees. I think the sun is setting over there somewhere. It's a little off to the right, but there's bright light coming down through these trees and lighting both of these figures from the back. And it's a very cool looking, and also looks very challenging. And I knew if I tried to do it, I'm going to be doing most of it with my white chalk, not with my charcoal pencil. So hence I loaded up a lot of dark color in the background. So that I can try to make that effect. In fact, there's some rays of light. There's only two of them, but I have to make three. For some reason, even numbers just don't, just not right in a drawing. You're here. What did I miss? I put a bunch of stuff on a piece of paper, And that was about it. Apart from that, I'm pretty sure I was complaining about something. Oh, Evan, if I'm successful, I'm downloading all of these videos to my computer, and I'm going to put them all up on my Patreon page. So yeah, I haven't been putting anything on my Patreon page lately, uh, which is weird. But I thought for a while I'll do a video on Facebook, and then I'll turn around and do another video and put it on Patreon. And I get tired, and so I haven't done that. Um, I do not know why this can make me tired, but it can. It can make me very tired. So I have not done that. So I want to share all these videos onto my Patreon. I still have a handful of friends out there who refuse to get a Facebook account. Um, Things about data mining and all that kind of stuff, which, yeah, that happens. I mean, yeah, but yeah, I've said it a couple times before. I've been doing Facebook now for just about exactly 10 years. I mean, it was 10 years 2 months ago or something. Um, and Nothing has blown up or caught fire. Nobody's taken any money out of my bank account. In fact, thanks to Facebook, lots of people have put money in my bank account. And maybe it's just because my data isn't worth mining, or my identity is not worth stealing. That is one of the virtues of uh, being a penurious artist. But mostly I think it's because that's just a load of crap, and it's pretty much not really happening at all. But someday, after I've done this for 40 years, somebody will steal something from me, and then everybody can say, "See, I was right." I mean, I remember the 1980s because I'm that old, and I remember people going, "My God, the world's going to hell in a handbasket," and I wish I could go back and show them a video of 2020 and say, "This is the world going to hell in a handbasket." But of course, those people are sitting over there going, "See, I told you, I told you, been telling you all along." It took 40 years, but I mean, I believed in a lot of dismal things back in the 80s. I believed the Russians were going to blow us up, and the world was going to descend into some kind of Mad Max post-apocalyptic chaos. I stocked up on army MREs and knives and ninja throwing stars and other things that you just need in a post-apocalyptic world. They certainly came in handy in all the movies. Um, and then and that stuff didn't happen, but it still wasn't silly nonsense entirely. Well, maybe it's throwing knives, but um, I've known some people since then who would who were Russians. They lived in the Soviet Union at the time that we're talking about, and they're like, no, you were right. They taught us, in our elementary school classes, they taught us that one of these days we were going to go over and kill all the Americans, because that was the only way to make communism really really work and really be a success. And so I said, you're right, we were going to do that. But even then, when people said the world's gone to hell, it's just like, well, not yet. I mean, I was I was a believer in the concept that it could, and it was likely to under certain conditions, but it hadn't yet. It was at least able to appreciate that there had not been a nuclear war yet. I do kind of feel like the whole place is blown up now. I think I mentioned this yesterday. Did I mention this yesterday? We got our test results back, and we are negative for COVID-19. So sorry to be negative, but we're negative. Um, and that's both, currently, and nor do we have the antibodies, which is a little disappointing. It'd be nice to be told that yeah, you had it and you've gotten over it, and so now you've got a certain level of immunity if it works that way. Um, but that's not the case. I've still got to be just as paranoid as I've been. By the way, if there happens to be anybody watching who's in the Phoenix area, and I don't know if there is, they're doing another testing blitz this weekend, and it's free. It does take a little time. You spend most of that time in your car with the motor running. Um, Surround yourself with negative people. It's a good policy. I like that. Um, yeah. So yeah, if and there might be one in other states and other towns. I don't know. But our state's pushing really hard to get everybody tested, and so um, there's a number of clinics and Walgreens and various places that you can go look it up. We went to a place called Embry Women's Health, Embry Women's Health, and they um, I didn't have to dress as a woman. They took me anyway, and they like I said, I didn't charge anything, and they were pretty efficient. It again, you have to be kind of a positive thinking person to appreciate how efficient they were being, because you sat in your car for a long time and went, oh my god, this is taking forever. But it's just like, how many apocalypses have these people done before? Really, in all things considered, they did it really well, and they had the police and the National Guard out there directing traffic and keeping everything flowing really nice, and so you spend most of the time in your car with the windows rolled up and the air conditioner running. So fill your gas tank, take snacks, take water, and take some patience. We probably sat in the car for an hour and a half, and then the rest of it was in 20 minutes, and we were out of there. So we they channeled us through, in our cars to where we finally got into a parking space. Somebody came out and stuck swabs up our noses and back to the back of our throats, and And then if you wanted the blood test, you had to go to another parking lot, park the car, go in to the other side of the building, and get in line there. But that went pretty quickly, and so that was the initial time, and then the lab did screw up the swab tests, and so all of that information was lost, and we went back for a recheck. They did the swab test again, and we've got our results, so everything's negative. And so we're good from that point of view. Um, yeah, in the context, I got your joke right away, but yeah, I guess without knowing what they were talking about, surrounding yourself with negative people doesn't sound like a good idea. But right now, it's a good idea. Um, so yeah, I was glad we did it, and it was gratifying to see, you know, just like a whole bunch of people doing something and making it work and being nice to each other about it and stuff. Um, so I would encourage you, if you're in the Phoenix area, to go get tested this weekend. Go find a place. There's a number of places that'll be doing it. This is the kind of image that probably would work better with a paintbrush than it does with pencils anyway. Or maybe that's just my excuse for right now, because it's really kind of different. I am overall in all my artwork becoming more painterly, which sounds like a funny thing for a painter to say, but um, my paintings are more painterly than they used to be, and my drawings are becoming more painterly than they used to be. There's let's see if I can get this right. Um, there used to be an old thing that when people talked about artists who paint, that there are sculptors, there are designers, and there are painters, and all three of those are describing painters. But designers are somebody who really pays attention to the detail, might do black outlines around everything and just kind of fill in with color. Um, that's kind of an oversimplistic description, but that would be definitely a designer. Um, and a sculptor would be somebody who really blocks in the masses and just makes big, dark chunks of paint. Uh, is drawerly a thing? I really don't know. That's a good question. I'm gonna look that up. Um, and then a painter is one who just enjoys the paint, and so to grab two globs of different colors and just kind of smear them around on the surface and get an effect just from the paint. And then, the impressionists were definitely painters, um, whereas somebody who did medieval manuscripts was definitely a designer. um, Sculptors were more like, I don't know, cubists. Uh, the Mannerists were sculptors, definitely. They were all about shapes. So yeah, I've become a painter. I used to be a designer. I used to do pen and ink things. I used to do signs. Everything had hard edges and really firm outlines and stuff. And so I was very much a designer type of person by that uh, by that description, and I've become a painter type of painter. And Sharon, in answer to your question, if you're talking about this at the pub late at night, I think draw early is definitely a term. Um, the rest of the time, I don't know. Also, I frequently see my didn't see my charcoal sketches as anything other than a charcoal sketch. And then these days, pretty quickly, I'm looking at it and starting to imagine the colors that I would use, the type of brush strokes that I would use. I'm just kind of visualizing that kind of thing. Uh, how big the canvas ought to be and what shape it ought to be and stuff. And so, um, definitely painting is becoming more my deal, or at least it's the way I'm thinking. Uh, yeah, it's the way I'm thinking about it. It has been 48 minutes and 16 seconds, which is officially as long as you're allowed to do a Facebook Live video. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Um, like I said before, the only feedback I've had on time of day is that I should be consistent about my time of day. So it's going to be 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock is what it is. And I'll see you again tomorrow, I hope. Take care, everybody.